Hello, I'm GM Coblin. Welcome. And if you've been on the internet in the last few weeks, you've probably heard about the 44 rules for D&D. Well, today we're going to go over them and see what all the hubbub's about. So the 44 rules for D&D started out, I believe, as just a Reddit post. And now you've seen it plastered all over all of your TTRPG, whether it's Pathfinder or D&D Reddits, and videos everywhere. It's on forums. So today we're going to go over it and maybe give a little constructive criticism, either of that view of the game or possibly what you should do if you're starting to feel like this and you're at the end of your ropes. So this started off as a Reddit post, at least what I remember from it, about a guy that was given this for his Dungeons & Dragons group. And apparently he was the DM anyway. The guy's the DM. And he was extremely upset. Whatever his players might have put him through, and as lifelong GMs, we get put through a lot. But let's go through a few of them. Maybe we can see where this guy's coming from. So we're going to start with number 1. I'm timing turns. I don't give an F if it's unfair, in your opinion, because your spells are hard or you don't know what square to move to. You get 1 minute, know all the actions you want to take, or I skip your turn. Yeah, and sometimes I can kind of agree with this. I play Pathfinder a lot, so it takes a long time to do turns. But there are the players that you probably want to give an ultimatum to, though I probably wouldn't do like that, at least not for a start. But who knows how long he's been having to deal with this party. But a lot of these are going to be like that. Very aggressive, if you get to that point, and if you don't watch any further, if you've read this and you get to that point, step back. Either find a different table or find a different thing to do. Because if you're going off this hard on your players or something, then something's wrong. You don't mesh with them. You don't do that. If they're paying you and you're going through this, then maybe you should find new people to pay you. Or if they can't be your friends if you're having to go like this on them. But anyway, let's go number 2. If you want harder fights, bring a second character sheet and expect to twiddle your thumbs when you die. I'm not going to baby anyone. Okay, I can understand being hardcore. I also probably am not going to tell them that I'm going to just murder them outright. I have a tendency to not kill off all the time. I give my players a chance at saving each other. I have kind of a last stand rule, even in Pathfinder at higher levels, but that's mostly because I will 1 round drop one of my players with a dragon. I have a tendency, because of their damage output and how long they've been playing, to hurt them pretty badly and cause them to have to heal a lot. You call me or my role's unfair. I give up, go home. And if you ride with me, you can find your own way back. Suck it up. You know, some of this stuff, he acts like he is whining, or they're whining about it, or they're babies. Yeah, this whole thing sounds to me like you're just whining. Like you're just being a baby. I mean, hey, if it's unfair, they got to get over it. If you're doing it right, I mean, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're hot, but still, I'm going to take your character loot away as regularly as you want it given out. Rule 3 will apply here. See, characters loot. I've had to take character loot, but it's for other reasons than me just being angry at someone. But also, people need to learn not to always want more, or kill everything in hopes to get something else out of it. If you don't act out any of your persuasions or intimidations or any other special checks, you fail. Before you even roll, you fail immediately because you aren't even trying and you're making the game lame for everyone else. I have multiple players that have either anxiety or speaking issues, or they just don't get that into that part of the game. And they role play in many other ways and do other things. And every once in a while, I get surprises from them. But I will put a request sometimes, like I just finished a Descent into Avernus game, and when they attempted to convince Zariel, spoiler, that they had to tell me exactly what they wanted to say. You don't have to be so eloquent or anything else. Just get a general ballpark. Not everyone's going to feel as comfortable in their skin doing that kind of RPing or RPing to that extent. I've done a video on that. If you don't pick up cues for side quests, that's not my problem. Get over yourself. It's not a video game. It's a role-playing, pen and paper-based game with miniatures. I'm not holding your hand if you choose not to pursue S. Okay, I mean, you don't have to hold them. If they don't want to go that way, that's fine. One thing as GMs we have to understand is even though you don't have to force your players into doing things like that, that's cool. The things we're giving that are apparent to us are not always apparent to everyone else. And it's either because of the way our minds work compared to everyone else, or the fact that we know everything that's going on. And maybe we see something that they don't get the expression of as we're playing. If you move to a square in combat, there's no takebacks. Okay, so a lot of times with us, if you let go of your figure and you're not asking a question like, oh, hey, if I do this, can I still see this? No? Okay, then that's your move action. We do that a lot of times just to help speed things up. But so I can definitely see that. You tell every single person that what you're doing before you do it. You don't effing roll dice, and when you say you're casting Fireball, you tell us all. And then you say you're casting Fireball. Okay. So I have had a few people like this. I've had a Magus in PF1 had this problem, and I always had them roll their spells, and it's just because there's probably, if you roll one, going to be this temptation that might happen to the best of us to do it. So you just remind your players the order of things. That way it makes it even. I will give out exhaustion more frequently. If you argue, go home, or you can actually fight me over it. You can DM yourself. Okay. You probably don't want to pick fights with the table. I mean, pretty ridiculous. And giving out exhaustion, if it's appropriate, like my last few sessions, it's appropriate. But like several things here, if you're just doing it to get at your players, then you probably shouldn't be playing with them. There's better things for you to do. 10. Every snide comment you make with an NPC will be remembered and paid back in triplicate. You all seem to believe that there's no consequences. So I've had multiple players that did do this. In fact, I had a character, we're talking level 17 characters, talking to a archfey, and they believed that they could mouth off. Quick wave of the hand fixes that. You know, sometimes players have to be told, but you know, I can kind of understand that if they just want to run their mouths and smart off all the time. You will not be given a mega dungeon every session. A temple is not the size of a small city, neither is a cave. This S will happen when it's natural and organic. Go play some roguelike if you want that. So, I mean, it's going through. I have one character that is in love with dungeons and wants to do dungeon crawls all the time. And not everyone likes that. So I can get it. The travel portion is done. You want to travel continents, doing literally whatever you want, wherever you want, go play World of Warcraft or play D&D with AI. So I've done some of the free roam stuff before where I made up everything on the fly, and that's fine. But sometimes you got to keep your players on track. If you're late with no good reason, I'm going to have your character hit points for the entire session. That's just another thing that's just childish. It's ridiculous. Some things happen. If it's recurring, then see if they really want to play. 14. If you don't show up for no good reason, that will be determined by me alone. If no one else has the guts to say S for fear of upsetting one another, the first time you'll find yourself losing either a whole level or up to 3 major items of your own. The second time, you will do it in a row. You'll be removed from chat and the group, full stop. I have no effing time for people not show up. So this goes along. If your players aren't committed and they want to do it, then you just either push them to the side or drop them. I've never taken a level for people not showing up. It makes me wonder where you get these people, or if you're actually friendly with any of them, that either they're treating you bad and you just jump off, find another group. They're out there, even if you were going to play online. 15. If you get too stoned and drunk to play, I will go home without warning. Your warning is here. I mean, if you're here to play, you probably shouldn't get wasted anyway. You get up for a bong or smoke or whatever breaks every 10 minutes, I will simply go back up. I will simply pack up and go home. I'm sick of waiting for every bloke to be at the table. I mean, you should probably stick around with your friends and understand that. They're hitting a bong every couple minutes. They're probably going to see 15. 17. Guidance, divination spells, owls, whatever spells I decided are too effing stupid are banned outright. No more effing guidance. That's ridiculous. An entire divination sphere spells. There's no reason. Some people don't like it because, well, you have to give them information or they can see and no, it'll ruin your... You either need to get better at fixing your plots, changing the way they work, or understand the spells that you have to use against your players all the time. My players are not able to divine certain things on something that's specific. There are spellcasters in my game. They have access to everything my players do. You get one chance at a skill check. If you F up, the party doesn't get a chance to do the same check. Think carefully what's good or who's good at what. I can understand that. Sometimes players just want to roll, and then hopefully, 1 out of 4 of you should have a decent roll. Yeah, especially if you're playing 5e. I mean, Pathfinder, the rest of your party may not have anything to help, but I mean, a game like 5e or some of the others, he's probably playing 5e, it's probably going to give you more of a chance. Just make it so not everyone gets the roll. Not everyone gets that roll whenever they're at my table. Discussion of metagame details in-game will result in instant damage to your character. That's another one of those ridiculous. Try and remind your players, like I said in another video, to keep it inside the walls or fix it so that they don't know what the limitations are of either what they're fighting or change things up. Some people have played this so long that they're going to metagame to some extent no matter what. A bit over a quarter of a century, I probably know what most of the creature's weaknesses are. Rules lawyering fellow players is encouraged. Actually, me. Just a result in me telling you to F off. Okay, so that's ridiculous. Telling them to cover and look at the other players and assist you, and you might be missing something. So you don't have to babysit everybody. And then immediately, oh, well, don't say anything to me. Well, what if you mess up? You may tell them that there are things outside of their purview or there's a different rule, but I'll change things on the fly. It's just, you shouldn't get mad at your players if you're having them help you. And then they're like, hey, did you know this rule? Or that's not in the rules. Well, that's something's outside of your view. Something's changed. 21. You roll your dice within view of 2 players who aren't you standard. You roll them neatly and you roll them on the table. Failing to do these 3 things will auto-fail whatever roll you did. Arguing that you actually rolled validly, it clearly didn't, is an automatic critical. It's another one of those petty things. I mean, we roll it in front of everyone and help do math and everything, but, I mean, he's still wanting everyone to rule your lawyer and watch over the other players while still get mad at them if they point anything out to you. I mean, roll out in front of everyone if you're using real dice. Instant death traps mechanics are coming into place. If you call these things unfair, moving forward, I'll laugh and tell you more petty stuff and crying. Yeah, there are ways for you to instantly die. Same thing in my campaigns. I mean, maybe you have to get resurrected, but if a mountain falls on you, there's no death saves. I will not give you random magical items, and vendor will not stock them. They are meant to be rare and hard to acquire, and maybe your players don't want them. I have either given them away, usually, to shovel them off onto someone, to barter with other NPCs, and get something that they want, to use them as passage when necessary, part of a quest, so they have to give it up. I mean, or I give them things that I know they're going to want. At least in 5e, Pathfinder, a lot of my guys, they'll sell stuff constantly, and I do the same things with them. Random encounters in the form of random dragons or strange mystery road trader or a band of goblin prostitutes isn't going to happen. Go play Baldur's Gate 3. So most of your encounters aren't really random. And even when you do want to randomize them, you're not actually randomizing them. There's not a chance for you to encounter a 26 CR creature at level 5. And when you're level 10, you're not going to be like, oh, look, you were attacked by half a CR's worth of goblins. You're still putting them on a list. So, I mean, Meh. I don't give an F what Reddit says about X or Y ruling. Well, if you're wrong, you're wrong, and that's another thing. If you guys are headbutting this much and we're already only on 25, then maybe you should go on hiatus, call it quits. I actually give less of an F about what your mates and group did. Once again, you probably shouldn't be saying, but my DM did this. But once again, it sounds to me like they just need to cut ties. Saying anything to me about other players not liking me, doing X or Y without them saying directly to me will result in kicking you out of the group. Don't use someone else to push your own agenda. And it's a lot of backstabbing and drama. I don't deal with it. You're not going to sit down and have 2-hour discussion about... You're not to sit down and have a 2-hour discussion about Samson and Bandero secondary did 3 weeks ago when you came to play. Take 15 to 20 minutes. I used to set up and review my notes to talk to each other, then sit down and play. Now I'll have to say, usually my Friday group, we get together, or my Saturday group in the morning. We wake up, we go over anything that we missed, and we'll spend a few minutes. We've known each other forever, going over things, saying a couple things, laughing at coffee, and then we get down to it. Sounds to me like people are wanting to visit, and you should decide. You should probably decide if you guys actually want to just play the entire time. Saying yes, like, guys, come on, we're not here to have fun. We're here to play D&D. It's serious business. Rude, dismissive, for all the work I put into this. Simply go home. Once again, I put way more time than all my players combined. That is literally what you're going to do. Well, I've said this is another one. It's not necessarily your job to do everything. You're going to put more work in. And they're here to have fun. It's not a job. Everyone's supposed to be enjoying themselves. Find people that you mesh with. Don't effing order food randomly. We're going to eat at a specific time. Or not at all. Now, this one, I don't want food. That's all over my things. He goes into this a couple different times. No food or drinks near my D&D gear. Wreck something, you pay for it. First screen, he goes into someone tearing up his stuff before. Yeah, I mean, just be an adult. Even if there's kids, just let them destroy your stuff. And you should be careful with other... I mean, this is just stuff. Sounds to me like no one here friends and everyone is just ridiculous. Arguments between party members outside of role-playing resolved with me giving a different ruling. If you don't like it, F off back home. Once again, we're extremely petty or angry. Yeah, take a break, bud. Touch some grass or play a different game. But an F, what they did in Critical Role. Here's one. When you guys, or what one guy on Reddit said, or if you think that it's all make-believe so you can do whatever you want. The world I run makes internal rulings and lore I created specifically for it. My world has changed for my players. You're all playing a game. If you're just using people, and maybe that's why he has to have this group, because no one else will play with him, so that you can live out this world and go through it. Write a book, dude. I mean, and when it comes to Critical Role, yeah, voice actors, all that other stuff, everyone's going to DM differently. Everyone's going to act differently. It's just how it is. 34. Every single person in the chat is having debuffs applied to their character that should have occurred a long time ago. This will be specific to character. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's all just petty stuff. That's just petty. Let people play. If you're having this much issue, you need to leave or they need to leave, one of the two. If you don't bring your sheet, you don't play. Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I have copies of everyone's stuff, but I also have everyone keep their character sheets digitally unless they want to make a copy on paper. So, I mean, I do that for reasons, either in Notion, a VTT, Foundry, or Roll20. If you don't bring dice, borrow some. Duh, that's evident. When we play D&D, I'm not your friend. Nope, you should be. That doesn't mean you treat me like an enemy during the game. It's kind of the way you're making all this out to be. It means I no longer be nice. Yeah, it sounds to me like you're not really friends and everyone's just pouting. If you treat me poorly in any way, shape, or form after, during, or before a game due to something that happened in-game, you're out. You know, separate the game, reality. It sounds to me like you're having trouble separating the two, man. You should just not play with these people. Or take a break. You will submit your spell list daily in-game. If you do not give me a spell list each day, you will not be allowed to cast a single cantrip trust spell. So there has to be some level of trust. I understand people might change. Well, you're probably going to see that digitally, another reason why I like having digital character sheets. I have before a screenshot of a character's sheet. Just make sure. And I've told them before, hey, I see you need to put some spells down. Go ahead and get it done before we start. It's the morning. Fix your character sheets. Fix your spells. You do not mark all spell slots. And you see something like, I remember what I'm at. Way to justify it. I will simply fail your spell. Deal half your health and damage to you and say more petty stuff. It's if you're having to go to this extent, either don't let them do it if they're cheating, or you need to not be playing with them. You break literally anything you can buy the replacement that day and not attend till you do. Okay, just let them buy it. I mean, maybe someone's got to wait till payday. If you run somebody's stuff and it sounds like he has to bring everything, then fix it. Care of it. You're all adults. They should take care of your stuff just like they take care of theirs, hopefully better. And if you break something, gotta replace it, guys. You complain about the choice of music. I fully expect you to bring a whole playlist the next session, or shut the F. Yeah, I mean, you're going to put music in. It's whatever. You only use music for either combat, which I usually just use video game, fight music, something from Zelda, something like that. Rock, I think, before. Series. Or it's specific for the setting. I don't just blast, metal in the background and have all of us play. 43, cannot stress enough how little I care about how you feel about my rulings from now on. Another thing, you should probably take a break. Oh, and rule 44, I'm never just threatening you. I'm promising you. Okay, shrink, touch grass, or take a break. Play a video game. Do something else. Or something else with a different group of friends and a different party. Because that's a little too much. If you're having this much problem with a group of people or a GM, play with a different group. There's no reason for you to have this much animosity or hatred. You shouldn't be picking on your DM. I'm not there to be against my players. I'm not there to screw them over. It's not me against them. Everybody's there. We're all supposed to be playing a game. We've got rules. We're all trying to have fun. So don't do this, especially don't plaster it all over the internet. And also, like I said in previous videos, if you've got problems, talk it over with your players. And if y'all aren't seeing eye to eye, then you should probably just cut ties. Maybe D&D together is not your thing, or whatever you're doing. All right, till next time. If you like this video, check out my others. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you have any tips or requests, drop them in the comments below. And until next time, may your crits be epic, your adventures legendary, and your gaming table filled with laughter.